everyone, it's Shannon and welcome to today's video. So as I have mentioned in past videos, my family and I are getting ready to sail on the Icon of the Seas. So this will be our third spring break in a row where we are going on a cruise. 2 years ago we went on the Odyssey of the Seas, last year we went on the Oasis of the Seas, and this year we are going on the Icon of the Seas. So we did book right when it came out and we're very excited. So as I was getting ready, one of the things I've been thinking about are what are mistakes that, I've made in the past, and what are mistakes that first-time cruisers or maybe even, experienced cruisers make? And that's why I came up with these 10 mistakes that first-time cruisers make. So there's going to be a two-part series. This is part 1, and this is 10 mistakes that first-time cruisers make before cruise or pre-cruise. So these are all things that they make mistakes before they even board the ship. And then there's going to be a part 2, and the part 2 will be 10 mistakes first-time cruisers make when they're on board. So it's going to be 20 mistakes. And I will say some of these mistakes are mistakes that even more experienced cruisers do make. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so these are not in any particular order. It's not like a countdown or anything. It's just, 10 mistakes. But number 1 is going to be not booking with a travel agent. I have talked about this before. I have booked cruises on my own before, but there's a lot of reasons why you do want to book with a travel agent. One, onboard credit. A lot of travel agents will give you an onboard credit, and you're not paying anything different than or paid more by booking with a travel agent. A travel agent are going to get the same rates that you are going to get online if you book, except that the cruise line is going to pay a commission to that travel agent. Now, a lot of times travel agents do like group bookings, so they have some discounted rates, so you can get even a cheaper rate if they have one of those group bookings. But a lot of times if you're just calling them and saying, hey, I want to book this cruise, you're going to get the same rate regardless whether you're booking directly with Royal or you're booking with the travel agent. But if there's anything that happens, if anything goes wrong, that's your advocate. That's going to be the person that's going to call on your behalf. Now, you have to pay them. You can't pay off your cruise. You can't call Royal Caribbean and pay off your cruise. You also can't switch your cabin. So we are waiting for a guarantee. We're about, we have a guarantee. And once you get assigned your guarantee, if there's another stateroom in that category that's available, you can move your stateroom a lot of times. Well, I can't do that. I can't call Royal Caribbean. I have to call my travel agent to do that. So, but that's, I'm fine with that there, and my travel agent's fine doing that. But there's a lot of things that you kind of have to, you have to have hands off. However, if there's any issues, you have an advocate. You have someone who has a connection with Royal or the cruise line. Now, a sub point to this mistake is using a travel agent that doesn't have a specialty with that cruise line. So my husband and I, long before we even got married, but even after we got married, we cruised Royal Caribbean almost exclusively. And I had a great Royal Caribbean travel agent. Then when I went to book our first Disney cruise, I called them and said, hey, and he's like, yeah, I can book you on a Disney cruise. Now, this person really didn't know Disney Cruise Line. Did he have access to it? Yes, but he didn't really know Disney Cruise Line. And so we missed out on a lot of things because he wasn't telling us when we could book our excursions. He wasn't telling us when we needed to book the meet and greets with all the characters and the pre-book stuff. And we missed a lot of things. So you know what happened? I don't book with that travel agent anymore because that travel agent honestly should have said, you know what, I'm not really I can book you on that cruise, but I'm not really well versed with that cruise line, or at least disclose that. But instead, they got the commission, and you know what? I really kind of didn't trust them any after that. So I actually have 2 travel agents. So I have a travel agent who knows Royal Caribbean and books me on Royal Caribbean, and then I have a travel agent for Disney Cruise Line and is good on Disney Cruise Line. So that's 2 different. Now there are some travel agents that may be well versed and well connected with both, but if someone says I can book you on any cruise line, that's probably not a good travel agent. So that's the only thing I would say also is even if you book with a travel agent, make sure you book with someone who specializes in that cruise line. Okay, number 2 is not booking the right cruise line or cruise ship for you and your family. And that also kind of ties in with the, booking with a travel agent, because a travel agent should be able to gear you towards the right cruise line or the right ship. But, I remember when I lived in New York and my boss went on a cruise on Celebrity Cruise Line with her 2 young sons. And I was just like, I don't know if Celebrity Cruise Line is the right fit for you and your, 2 young sons. But she's like, oh, it's great because it's, leaves out of New York. Great. Well, they hated it. There was no kids on the cruise, or very few kids. The kids, she told me that when they got off the ship, they kissed the ground and they said they never wanted to go on another cruise again. And it probably wasn't that they didn't like cruising. It wasn't a right fit. My husband and I went on Celebrity probably like 10 years ago, right after we were married, and we didn't have a bad time, but it also wasn't our vibe. We love Royal Caribbean. We love Disney Cruise Line. That's our vibe. And that's okay. Like, not every cruise line is created equal. Not every cruise line is for everybody. And that's what I also say, the ships aren't for everybody. I mentioned that we went on the Odyssey of the Seas 2 years ago. We liked the ship, but it wasn't our favorite. It also wasn't good for young kids, and I don't recommend it for young kids. The Oasis class, even the Freedom class is better for young kids than the Odyssey. I think the Odyssey and the Quantum class is really that bridge between Royal Caribbean and Celebrity. I know a lot of people that love the Quantum class on Royal Caribbean. For us, it wasn't our favorite. And so that's where you really also need to know which ship is right for you. Again, back with Royal Caribbean, there's a lot of the smaller ships, that don't have a nursery or don't have a splash pad or really have no options for little kids. And if you don't have a travel agent to tell you, like, if you have a toddler, there's no splash pad for them on this ship. So those are types of things. You really want to do your research. And then also kind of ties into getting a good travel agent who can kind of steer you in the right direction. But making sure you're picking the right cruise line and then also the right cruise ship for you and your family's needs. Okay, number 3 is not picking your stateroom. And now the exception is if you do a guarantee, and we do guarantees. I have a whole video on whether or not to do a guarantee. I'll put it up here. I have one for Disney and one for Royal Caribbean. But, if you are going to pick your stateroom, don't just say, I want a balcony and, give me whatever balcony. So I have whole videos on, Disney and Royal Caribbean ships on best and worst cruise staterooms. But I also have a video on things to consider. So, there are some special staterooms that are larger or, like on the Freedom class, there's some family staterooms that have a bathtub. That's just an interior stateroom. So those are like special staterooms. But then also, let's say there's no special staterooms available or on the ship in your category. You also need to know what do you want to be close to? Are you someone that goes to the gym every morning and you want to be close to the gym? Or do you want to be close to the Starbucks? Do you like the aft? For us, I've talked about this before. I like being near the elevator. Someone commented, actually a couple people commented on one of my videos that obviously I'm very lazy because I like to be near the elevator. Well, you know what? On vacation, yeah, I am a little lazy. I don't want to be, I don't want to be walking back and forth, especially when my son tends to forget things in the room. So I like being near the elevator, but not everybody does. Some people like being midship. So it really just depends on you. And you even if you've never been on a cruise, you kind of know, look at the floor plan and say, where do I want to be by? Where do I think I'm going to spend the most time? Am I someone that wants to go to Starbucks first thing in the morning, every morning on the cruise? Then find out where the Starbucks is and try and be close, proximity to that. So I think picking your stateroom, now obviously you're going to learn more as you cruise, but I would say, that's a really important thing is, trying to pick your stateroom as far as what you think your needs are going to be. Obviously, the exception for that is the guarantee. The guarantee stateroom, you don't get to pick it, but you also get to save a lot of money. So, it's a trade-off. Okay, number 4 is overpacking or underpacking. So it kind of goes hand in hand. So obviously overpacking. And I honestly, as many cruises as I've been, I probably still overpack. I have gotten better because we've added our son and I've really had to kind of tone it down, but I always tend to overpack. But then the other thing is, underpacking, not packing enough sunscreen. If you're going to the Caribbean for a week and you're a family of 4, you're going to need a lot of sunscreen. I've had people, I remember there was one cruise, my husband, hopefully hope he doesn't watch this, but he was short one pair of underwear, you know, so we ended up having to wash a pair of underwear in the sink because he was trying not to overpack, and then he was short one pair of underwear. So, you know, you can underpack too. So you want to make sure you are packing the things that you need, like medicines, you know, ibuprofen, Advil, you know, anything like that that you think you might need, pack. I have this little thing, and I'll post it. I'll put a picture of it here that I just kind of pack, and I just take it with us every cruise. And a lot of the stuff I got at the dollar store, but it's medicines, and I hang it up in the closet, and it's like my own little medicine cabinet, because I don't want to have to buy this stuff on the ship because it's going to cost me like $15 for 2 Advil. So I have this, and I take it with me on every vacation practically. But then also with overpacking, you know, one of the things I do is, you know, 7-night cruise, I pick out the 7 outfits I bring, you know, over the course of the cruise. So I know what I'm going to wear every night. Sometimes I might bring an extra outfit, kind of like a fat outfit for the end of the cruise, because when I start to feel a little bloated, maybe I want to fit into something a little bit more comfortable. But usually I bring 7 outfits for each evening. And then honestly, I don't wear much else during the day because I'll have some shorts and maybe some workout clothes, but I used to bring all these like cute day outfits, and I never wore them. Even with shorts and t-shirts, I only bring because I'm usually wearing, it's a sea day, I'm usually wearing a bathing suit and a cover up, and I'm wearing that every day. So I really have limited, you know, the amount of daytime outfits I bring, because I don't need 7 pairs of shorts. I probably need only 2 or 3 because that's what I'm going to be wearing. So that's where I would say kind of really think about it and then kind of tone it down. You're not going to need 7 pairs of shorts and 7 tank tops every day, because if you're like me and you wear, you know, cover up. So really trying to, you know, nail down what you're going to actually need so you don't overpack. Okay, number 5 is packing things you need in your checked bags. And when I'm saying things you need, your medication, your passports. I've actually seen people getting to the check-in. They gave their luggage to the porters to put on the ship, and the luggage is all going on the ship, and they left their they packed their passports, and they've had to contact the ship to get their stuff off the ship, to get their passports, because they can't get on the ship without their passports. It actually happens probably more than you think, but I've seen it happen where they packed their passports in their luggage. Also medications. You know, you don't know. A lot of times you're not getting your luggage until 6, 7 o'clock at night. Now, we've never had that experience, but that can happen. So you don't want to pack anything that you're going to need. I would also say your first night outfit, I pack it in my carry-on. Anything that I pack at least some makeup, you know, anything that I need to style my hair, my first night outfit, because I just don't know if I'm going to get my luggage in time for the dinner, especially when we're on a Disney cruise, because we usually like the main seating for Disney cruises, and that's at 5:30. So I always make sure I do that. So those are just make sure, things that you are gonna need that first day, make sure you're not packing them in your checked luggage. Okay, number 6 is probably going to be a little controversial, and that is booking excursions not through your cruise line. And I think a lot of people, you know, might disagree with this, but I'm thinking specifically first-time cruisers. First-time cruisers, you know, you want to make it easy as possible, but then also you want to make it as safe as possible. So when you're booking through your cruise line, if anything happens, there's an accident or you can't get back or whatever, the ship is most likely going to wait for you. And if for some reason they can't, it's going to be several hours and they can't hold the ship for you, they will be responsible to getting you to the next port or getting you back to the final destination. So it's not on you. Now, if you go on your own and you miss the boat, you miss the boat. I know it's a ship, but it's the boat. So, you know, you're on your own. You got to figure out how to get to the next port. You got to figure out how to get home. It's on you. And last year in Oasis, we saw people being left in St. Thomas. And literally the girl that we saw was in her flip-flops, a bag, her bathing suit, and a cover-up. That was it. She had no other clothes. And, you know, I don't know. I assume that they got the passports off for them. I don't know how that works, but they were on their own and they had to figure out how to get back. And honestly, there was no other port because the next port was Coco Cay. So they just had to go back to Miami and they missed half their cruise. So honestly, it's just not worth it. And the amount of money you may save by booking outside it's probably it's probably not that much, because you have to think about transportation to and from. But then also, even if it is a considerable amount, just that insurance policy that the ship is gonna, that Royal Caribbean or Carnival or whatever cruise line is going to take care of you if anything happens, then that's just worth it. We did that early on when we first started cruising, when it was just my husband and I, but now with a child, I don't think I would do it again. Okay, number 7 is not pre-booking activities or packages. So this could be excursions, this could be the photo package, this could be the drink package, this could be a lot of things. But most cruise lines, I know with Disney Cruise Line and Royal Caribbean, they're done a little different. But Disney Cruise Line, the price is the price. There's no sales, the price is the price. However, you don't get charged until you're on the ship. Now, which is great. So you can just book it, you don't have to worry about it. But with Royal Caribbean, you have to pay when you book it. If the price goes down, so example, I always buy the photo package, and I encourage everybody to do so. It's especially for family vacations. It's worth it. But it was $260 for the 100 pic photo package, and then during Black Friday, the price went down to $219. So all I did was cancel it, got my money back, got a refund, and then repurchased it at the new price. So you can cancel it and rebook it, but don't wait for the sale. Now, for photo packages, it's not a big deal. But for excursions, it can be. There was an excursion that I really wanted to do in St. Kitts. It was the zip line excursion, but I was like, I don't know if Ryder's going to want to do that. So I was kind of waiting on trying to figure out, I don't know if he wants to do that. Well, while I was trying to figure out if he wanted to do that, it sold out. So it sold out. And I've been stalking now, fortunately for me, about a week ago. Now I've been stalking for about a year, and it's been sold out for about a year. About a week ago, 4 spots opened, and we only needed 3. So I was able to book it. And guess what? It was a little bit more expensive than if I had booked it a year ago, because it was now $119 when that time it was $99. So I'm paying more, and I also had to spend a lot of time stalking when I should have just booked it, because I could have canceled it at any time. So pre-booking your packages, everything, most things are going to be cheaper before the cruise. Once you get on the ship, when you're booking, you're booking dining or anything else, it's going to be more expensive on the ship because they gotcha. So always try and pre-book as much as you can, whether it's, and that includes, the entertainment, anything like that. Find out when you can book it, always look. And then at the end of the day, if you don't want to do it, you change your mind, you can always cancel, but just book when you can. Okay, number 8 is not leaving enough travel time before and after your cruise. Now, this is something you hear a lot, but I see people making this mistake all the time. Now, a lot of times there's, you can't travel the day before, but the advice always is to travel in at least the day before, because anything can happen. And especially with air travel today, it's just not reliable. So I would not book a cruise, several $1,000 cruise, and not fly in the day before. To save money on a hotel, just, fly in at least the day before. And then also means going after the cruise. So after the cruise, I see people, hey, can I, that 10 a.m. flight, that's enough, right? No, the recommendation is noon. And yes, could you possibly make a 10 a.m. flight? Possibly. But especially if you're leaving out of South Florida, Miami International Airport is a zoo. It's not the most passenger friendly airport, let me just say. I'm local, and if I can fly out of Fort Lauderdale, I do, because it's just an easier airport to get in and out of. MIA can take you a long time. I just went on a business trip in October. It took me 45 minutes to get through security with TSA pre-check. TSA pre-check was 45 minutes. The regular security line was an hour and a half. So you just never know. But, just make sure you're leaving enough time for both, because again, if you miss the ship because your flight was canceled, yes, you might have travel insurance and stuff, but you're out of luck. You're still not going on the ship, or you have to get to the next port. So just make sure you're leaving enough time. And then again, on the same, going back, because if you miss that flight, you have to, then you're going to have to maybe be standby to the next flight. And if it's a busy travel time, it may be a while to get on the next flight. So give yourself, yes, it's not convenient to wait at the airport, but you want to make sure you're allowing yourself enough time. I would also say, kind of as a caveat to this, for those who are booking at a hotel pre-night, I see a lot of people saying, I need a hotel that has a cruise line shuttle. And I really don't understand the obsession over the cruise line shuttle, because I remembered it, 10 years ago when there was no Uber, there was no Lyft. It was either a taxi or that was it. But now with Uber and a Lyft, I think forcing yourself to find a hotel with that shuttle is really limiting your options. And also, those cruise line shuttles aren't that convenient. They fill up really fast. The timings aren't great. So I would say you're going to open a lot more options if you kind of just figure out, like, I can take an Uber and a Lyft, and it's probably going to be a lot more convenient. Now, there's sometimes, like, if you have, a child and you need a car seat, then there's probably some limitations there. But I see so many people focusing on getting a hotel with a cruise line shuttle. So I would say try not to limit yourself, because an Uber and Lyft is going to be a lot easier. Okay, number 9 is something that we still make this mistake. And honestly, I'm going to say it's my husband, because he's responsible for this. And this is not bringing cash on board, and especially enough cash. I don't carry cash every day, and neither does my husband. So we always tend to forget when we get on the cruise ship. But, you're going to want singles. You're going to need to, if you use a porter, which we do, and, when you're checking in your bags, you tip the porter. You want to have cash to tip them. But also a lot of times, if you have room service, you want to be able to tip, just having those dollars, it just makes things so much easier. So, this is a mistake we still make to this day, and we're getting a little better, but, just making sure that you bring cash on board. So bring a lot of singles, bring some, several fives. Usually I feel like $100 within fives and singles is enough for us, but, you probably kind of know what you're going to probably need, but you want to have those singles, to be able to tip people as needed. And number 10 is bringing prohibited items on board, or I will say trying to bring prohibited items on board. So you want to take a look on what's allowed and what's not. So example, you can't bring an iron, you can't bring a steamer. Everybody's like, well, how am I supposed to have, I'm going to have wrinkled clothes? Well, there's the wrinkle release, Downy wrinkled release, bring that. You can also send your clothes out to be pressed at the cruise line, but you can't bring a steamer or an iron. I think anytime, like when you're leaving the ship, you'll see this like table of prohibited items that were confiscated. There's always like a bunch of irons and a bunch of steamers. There's certain like extension cords that aren't cruise friendly. So if you're buying something on Amazon, you want to make sure it says like cruise friendly, that you can, for outlets and stuff like those, you want to make sure it's cruise friendly. But there's a lot of things. Like I remember one time when we were leaving the ship, this was a couple years ago, but I saw a waffle iron. Who was trying to bring a waffle iron on a cruise ship? Well, someone did. So yes. And then obviously alcohol, you can bring like, most cruise lines will allow you to bring like a bottle of wine or some beer per passenger. But one, it has to be in your it can't be in your checked bag. It has to be on your carry-on. So if you check a bag with alcohol, that's going to get confiscated. So you want to make sure you know those rules. So making sure you know those rules, what you can bring on, what you can't bring on. You can't bring on candles. I mean, kind of makes sense, but you see it. So you just want to make sure you know what you can bring on and what you can't. Okay, so there you have it. Those are 10 mistakes first-time cruisers make before the cruise. So I will be, like I said, there will be another part to this video, and that's going to be 10 mistakes first-time cruisers make on board their first cruise, and that will be coming probably in a couple days. But let me know. I mean, I'm sure there's more mistakes that people make. I don't think these are the only mistakes people make, but let me know in the comments below, are there any other tips, or is there mistakes that you've made or that other people have made? Leave it in the comments below, and stay tuned for my next video. But with that, if you like this video, click like, click and subscribe. That way you get a notification every time I post a new video. Bye everyone.